and it'll be uploaded on the tube later. Now this is the Pyramid Tarot, but it really acts more oracle than regular tarot. And you can see I've marked my tools on the back. So that's one that I put in the oracle decks, even though it's tarot. It reads really oracle. Then these, I think, are the Isis Tarot. I'm not sure if that's right. And then the Rooted Woman Tarot. Or excuse me, the Rooted Woman Oracle. So those two are oracles. So let's see what we got going on. Okay. This is what called me first. So we're going to go to here. And they're so big. That is another thing about these cards. They are gorgeous, but they are huge in the hand. They are really big. And I kind of prefer a little bit smaller deck just because it's easier for me to shuffle, but whatever. We just go with it. Wow. Well, we've got like a crazy line coming up for you, so give me just a second. We've got Justice, Judgment. We've got Imperfection. And this is something huge. Union and Perseverance coming through. So, okay. Justice and Judgment. We've got Karma coming in on the Justice card always, and it's talking about balance. And this is balance born from, and I'm going to just read you what I wrote on the back because this is my notes and summary. Balance is born from harmony between truth and responsibility. And then here we have Judgment. Renewal comes from understanding the lessons of the past. Justice and Judgment. This is something about holding yourself to integrity balances the scales. And you'll notice in both cards, they have the scales represented here. There's a little bit of grandmother wisdom coming in on this one. Imperfection. This is allowing the flaws to be present. Yeah, it's reminding me of those. I think that there's, and I don't know if this is actually true or not, but I think it's been said that the Pueblo Indians would leave mistakes in the blankets they wove because they would purposely have at least one mistake in there so as to not offend the creator to think that they could be perfect. That's what's coming to mind. It's like allowing the imperfections to be part of the beauty. Also, what's coming through is, I don't know if I'm saying it's right, but kintsugi, that art where they, I think it's Japanese or it's an Asian. I don't know if I've got the culture right, so forgive me. But if something's broken and they mend the vase or the broken pottery or whatever with gold, so there's veins of gold all through that. The Amish do that with their quilts too, Kim's saying. Yeah, allow some imperfection in there. Whenever I've knitted and I've had imperfections, I haven't always allowed it to stay, but often I have. And I let it be there. And then you keep learning. Union's coming in. This is talking about relationships. And this one that says love is born from recognition and gratitude. There's something that's wanting to come in as a gratitude for the lesson. A thankful for the lesson even though it was difficult. And then perseverance is coming in through here. And it says, until you failed, you don't know what true potential. You don't know your true potential. I want to see what's going on with these. There's something about the imperfection of the relationship, the way that the union went, the way the relationship went a little bit different than what you thought. It was more of a challenge. It was more difficult. It was harder than you anticipated something to be. There's something about the revealing of self as you unfold in a relationship. How this comes out, I don't know. But the way you allow yourself to be unveiled, revealed, shown, the way you allow yourself to show up as authentic as possible, it is actually very super helpful for you. This is coming through in a big way. And there is perseverance that is necessary in going forward and going forward. It's not that you have to correct what you might view as imperfection. No, rather than correct the imperfection, allow that to be, allow what is your, you might consider a weakness to be strong. Now, what else we got here come through? I just want 2 out of this. There's something about strength wanting to come through, the strength of Divine Feminine coming through. It comes through strongly in this deck. We've got the Key of Life here, and it's talking about spinning the Ankh and the Key of Life. And then this one is saying, stay true and being in your power. It mentions Osiris and Iris, Lord and Lady of Divine Authority. Now, when we talk about the Divine Feminine coming in and lifting, raising the Divine Masculine in a better way, not the toxic masculine, but the divine masculine. Divine masculine is very supportive of the divine feminine. It's different. When the divine feminine kicks in, the energy of love, expansion, the energy of acceptance and receptivity, inclusivity, and allowing people to be exactly as they are is hugely important coming in. I want the 4 corners done with the Rooted Women. I'm going to flip this down so you can see a little bit more of what this is looking like. This is a huge one for a blind. This is just absolutely freaking huge for a blind. Again, this one's coming in as wise, wise, wise. She's coming in as wise empress right now. Give me just a second. coming as the wise empress. This is the empress when she's past the stage of fertility and bearing fruit and bearing fruit and bearing fruit. But the wisdom has been gained by the lessons along the way. There's something huge there. Something huge about the unconditional love coming in. The way that mothers typically love their children is very, very unconditional. It's like their children sometimes can do no wrong, but this is the lessons you teach your child unconditional love as you grow older. They might not look back as the parents in that way, but this is what you teach them. You teach them the lessons of unconditional love. It's them teaching you the lesson also, because so much is done for them and so much is sacrificed and given for them. This is something that we also need to remember to do for ourselves. The Mirroring Pilgrimage. Just one second. I need to look at this. We've got the Morrigan coming through and Pilgrimage, and there's a mirror coming through. It's like these two are the same. This is like the shadow aspect of this one. Do you see? You've got more crow energy, raven energy, that kind of stuff here. And you got eagle or hawk energy here. This is something interesting. There needs to be an acknowledgement and an appreciation for the darkness or the darker aspects of yourself that have helped you become who you are. Nobody becomes who they are with just rainbows and unicorn sprinkles about their life. No, if you want to actually grow into becoming somebody of depth, somebody of substance, you're going to have some challenging lessons. You've had them. The pilgrimage is just to continue the walk, to seek forward, keep going forward, to go towards the sacred self. This is huge, huge, huge. Now on this one, we're seeing standing on the edge of the cliff, the buried moon, the hidden feminine. I told you about the feminine rising. This is coming through again. Again, the darker aspects of the feminine. There are times when we need to be what some in society would call greedy. There's times that we have been taught that being self-care is selfish, self-nurturing, taking care of ourselves is selfish somehow, and put everybody before us. And there comes a time that has got to be like, no, done, over and out. This is something that you are understanding. This is stay true and be in your power. And this is the lesson going forward. Stay true and be in your power. It is your time to take the pilgrimage and to take the leap of faith. Go in here with this cliff. This is huge, huge, huge. This is a fool's leap. Understanding all of the shadow aspects that you've experienced so far are just lessons to unveiling more of who you are. And when you get this reckoning of the self and of the soul, and you come to this space where you can recognize that it's not been all for nothing, that the difficulty has, and the struggle and the challenges have not been for nothing, but they've helped towards the expansion of your soul. When you get to this place, there comes a point where you are at peace and accept and appreciate this. And it's a gorgeous, gorgeous energy. And this is what's going on. The imperfection is being seen as a gift going forward. And the perseverance to continue forward, is honored. Keep going, keep going, keep going. That's what I've got. That's complete. Holy smokes. That was gorgeous. Way more than I thought that would be. Like, boom, boom, boom. This is way big. Beautiful, beautiful reading. So that's what I've got for you. All right, let me see. Kim, who's next? You're welcome, Renee. Yeah, it's gorgeous. So whatever you might have seen as a flaw is actually one of your biggest gifts. And that's a hard one for us to wrap our head around in the present. But when we get a little bit in the rearview mirror and we can see a little bit of hindsight, it's really quite beautiful. All right. Christopher, a past life. Woo! Okay. We haven't done these in a while. Okay. Christopher, a past life. Let's see if this wants to come forward. All right. And this is recording. Let's see what we got here. I want to go to these. And these. And strangely, these. Interesting. Okay. Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. Now this is a Lenormand deck and a Lenormand oracle that reads a little bit differently. And we're going here for these also in your past life. Very interesting. Okay. So let's see what we've got for Krista. Go all out. Yeah, we're going to see what's going on in here. Hang on. Just give me a second. I'm getting 1718, 1718, 1718. I don't know if that is the age that we're going to see or if it's the century we're going to see, but let's see what's going 1718, 1718 coming through really strong. Okay, that here. karmic relationship of the arts. We're getting lessons of the muse coming through right away. Give me a second. Let me get this out of my way. Okay. We're getting lessons of the muse coming through. I'm going to flip this down so you can see what's going on. Let me flip this down also so you can see. We have karmic relationship in the arts. We've got oppression and trauma. And we've got a little bit of somebody's death coming in. And very, very much reverent and a death coming in. What would we got here? A water disaster, a flood, some kind of thing going on here. This is very much feeling like you coming in. Feels like in the past life, definitely I'm getting 17 or 18-year-old self. So this is the maiden as she becomes the muse going forward. Somebody leaving the home village to go to a different land. This is something that went on. This is something that went on. You went with a different family relation is what I'm getting. It feels like you went on with a family relation. Give me just a second. You go on with a family relation. You've left whatever is your homeland. You've gone somewhere else, somewhere different. And it feels like 200 or 300 miles away from where maybe your parents actually were. They tell you to go on with the auntie or uncle that has more wealth and you go to this different country. This is what's going on. What else is going on here? It was very difficult for you this feels like it happened when you were about 12. You were old enough to travel. And now we're seeing you at 17 or 18 years old. Something going on where you suddenly become the muse. You've grown. You've gone through adolescence to a bit. Now you're on kind of the other side of the adolescence. Yeah, a proposal is made. Woo. Proposal is made. Soul contract is made. This is the painter, the artist that sees you as the muse. This is huge coming in. It feels like you're giving up something to do this. We're getting shades of Euro England, and then we've got something about this, the heart. You've given up part of your heart in order to accept this role. Feels like the person that wants to paint you, somehow wants to paint you, feels like they're a little bit older than you. What else is going on in this? I think they have a strong affinity and a love for you, but they do feel like they're almost a decade older than you. So they aren't like decrepit and old, but they aren't as useful as you, and it doesn't feel like you're in love with love, but you agree to be in contract with this person or be with this person. This is somebody that the cousins, the aunties, and uncles they've introduced you to, and they would see this as a good marriage. They would see this as a good contract, a good fit for the family, for you, for the artist. I'm getting artist in residence. Very interesting phrase to be getting on this. This feels like somebody that would have done the family's portraits. It's showing me also family of affluence, where this painter comes in and does the family portraits. I don't know how you would call this when they do the family portraits, but it is somebody that does the portrait artist for what would be almost like an aristocratic type of family of wealth, family of means. Yeah, the painter notices you there, and this is when they decide to, it's almost like they've made an arranged marriage type of contract or an arranged contract of some sort. Now, is this a marriage? Or is this just somebody that has you in their care now? The painter receives like a stipend, a dividend, a payment for caring for you. It's almost like, how do you explain? It's almost like a version of an arranged marriage where they're getting a dowry, but it's not set as strongly because this painter didn't have the aristocratic birthright line, lineage, whatever status. But there was definitely a fondness for you from this painter person, and they realized that this could be a good match, maybe not the perfect love match, but a good match that you would be well cared for. This painter got a lot of work in the day. Was well known enough in the upper crust circles that known as an artist, known for their art, very, very fierce in the art that they did. What happens? This is where the storm comes in. This is where the death comes in, the flood comes in. Some kind of flood and storm. Now, we were talking earlier about how this death comes in. This is when the painter dies. I need to see this now. Let me go back to what happens to this painter. It feels like you were there about 7-8 years, so that would put you roughly 17, 18 plus 7, 24, 25 when the painter dies. So you're not with him quite a full decade, but it feels like that, yeah, something comes in. There's something that goes wrong. Flooding overtakes something about not just the where he would have the studio, but where you would have set up home. You were with this person paired, Yeah, there was romantic involvement of a sort is how I will say that. But yeah, you very much acted as his muse, but then something got destroyed. Okay. What I'm getting is there's huge floods. So whatever the winter was that usually comes in, it's almost like when somebody gets a whole lot of snow and then it melts really fast because it creates disasters really fast. It comes in like winter dragon energy. The patron that you had is now gone. There were some things that were set aside for you that made your status, your life status, a little easier because of this relationship. What else happens? You mourn this guy. This guy has a revered place in the cemetery that he is at. I don't know where that is, but he's got a revered place. This guy was revered. He was an artist that was revered. And he's got a revered place still. There's people that are patrons to him that are saddened by his loss, saddened by him going. And because of their deference about his work and about what he created, he must have made people look good. I don't know. He must have made them portrayed in a way that they found very becoming, because there is a difference to him. It's almost like there is a community, an extended community grieving for when this guy dies. And there is something about this flood that just takes him out, takes him under. Feels like the flood is what did him in, and then it also broke you loose, broke you free to have more independence to move forward. Now we're going forward again. There, look, oh my gosh. This is you looking at what was, and if you look in the picture, you can see right here, in the flood, what happened in the flood, And then what's coming through is years down the track, another wedding, another pairing going on. I want to see what's going on with this. But let's look at the flood side first. This feels like separate, and this feels like towards 30, 31, 32. 33, 34. I'm sorry, it wants me to go here. We're looking at age 34 here. This is something where you're happier, you marry more by choice, and you have more, you've had this extended period of singleness, but you marry by choice there. Let's see what's going on there. Okay, let's see what's going on here. I need to snoop through these. 1 second. Yeah, this is you getting old almost to the point of spinstery, and then somehow the universe cracks in again. This is a lifetime where you have really two very strong, powerful, what the world would call love relationships. Although the first was more of the muse. The second is more of love. It's like fate finally steps in and gives you what you want after you've gotten through this disaster. After the time and the period of being alone, then what happens? Tell me more about this the second man in the world. Second man. He's not as high status as some of the family was that you were associated with, or some of the families the painter would do portraits for. He's not as high status. He's working class craftsman, working class craftsman. And he sees you as not quite the wealthy widow. However, he sees you as a good match, and somebody that's got a good brain in your head. Now, back in those time periods, sometimes that wasn't considered, but this person did consider it. We get these notions and these stereotypes that we've been taught historically that aren't always accurate. It's not like people were just only married for their breeding capacity, and it seems like sometimes historically we think that that's the way it was, but this one had an appreciation of your mind, the sharpness of your mind. I think that's what drew you. Yes, back. Okay, back. We're back to about age 22, a little bit earlier. We're back to that era. Yeah, your mind was sharp, and this is partly why the person that painted you viewed you as such an inspirational muse. There's something about this. So the one that painted you, the painter, he was like your first introduction to adult world, relationship, romance, blah, 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 blah. The second one feels more like love of your life. Now let's look just a little bit more about the painter that died. Okay, all right, we're seeing it again. We're seeing it again. Look, both of these men had some similarities. Look at this. Similarities. They both saw your mind. They both saw the sharpness of the mind. Here's the heartache on this one. Now, look, you can see fate stepped in here. Fate stepped in here. Absolutely, you were fated to be with both of these. This was the of your youth and remembering well, and then the balance that would have to come. It was like if the painter hadn't died, you probably would have lived and continued to live a reasonably happy life with him, but not totally blissful. With this one, huge, joyful, blissful marriage going on here. Huge, feels like soulmate and counterpart and counterbalance going here. Now, what else do we need to know about this? I want to see a little bit about your single era of time. What was going on there in between the two? What was the lessons? You learned how to socially network in a clever way. So you learned gifts of social networking very, very cleverly, crafty. You learned how to do some modeling is what I'm getting, because you would be still for the portrait. So you learned the modeling skill. You also would wear certain types of clothes, styles of clothes. People would pay attention to what you were doing. It would stand out. It would look a little bit different. Yeah, and then there would be communication. You also were, in your single time or in your spinster time, you were a master of the gossip is what I'm getting. A master of the myths, so you knew all the hot goss, the hot dish, and you also you wouldn't tell tales out of school, but you would lift through the gossip. Very interesting. So you might start a story, a rumor, or something that helped elevate others. You didn't have a whole lot of close friends. What I'm getting is there was 2 close girlfriends that you had that are like your besties, like your sisters from the other misters that are coming through. There was the 3 of you that were very tight a lot of the times, and you would start. Yeah, you would pass words, start information going through. And this is what happened in the single time you had these 2 close friends. Very interesting. And you would help lift. Very, very interesting. So that's what I'm getting. That feels very complete. It shows like a bunch of different eras of this particular time, but that's what I've got. Yeah, that's where to stop. That's where to stop. Yeah, that's what I've got. That's wild, but that's what was going on. So very interesting. Some of the carryover lessons that you might have now are how you're lifting others in friendship. Now you might have the carryover lesson about what is love versus being in love. You might have the carryover lesson about what actually makes soulmates, not just soulmate in the romantic sense, but kindred spirit soulmate also might be coming through. That's very, very interesting. I'm surprised that we went to those cards. Like these ones, I haven't even busted out of the box before. And I got them out of the box to look at them, but I haven't gotten them out to read on them. And yeah, that's what comes through. That's wild. All right, let me get my other tray back over here. We'll rearrange things, get things set, and we'll keep on going. You're so welcome, honey. Yes, awesome. Good. Glad that it helps. Oh my gosh, yeah. That was a wild one. But they usually are. It's why they're my favorite things, because you don't know what's going to come through. And it is amazing to me always where you see crossover, and there is almost always crossover between what's happened in our past life and what we're learning now. So that's what I've got. All right, let me get a little bit of water, and then we'll see what's next. Okay. And Kim, if you let me know who's next, that'll be great. All right, and I'm going to push stop on the video, and we'll do the rest in